Hey, Rob Aubrey here with Insider Training from WantMoreLeads.com. Today we're going to be talking about ADU financing. This is a good topic. So let's dive into it. ADU financing. So Fannie Mae, FHA, and I believe some people say Freddie Mac. I haven't seen the guideline on that, but here's the kind of how it works. I mean, one, it has to be an ADU by the terms of the lenders, right? A separate living space that's self-contained, has its own separate entrance and that kind of stuff. It can't be like a more than a third of the. No, it has to be smaller than the main part of the house. Detached or separate. I mean, detached or attached. Now, Utah law passed and said that, the ADU law that you have to allow them is for internal, not for external. External has to meet all the setback rules and whatnot. But if it's already an existing space inside the footprint of the house, Utah law said, nope, you're allowed. Now, some cities resist them and they put up walls and it's like you got to decide you want to fight City Hall or not. However, so they can. So the appraiser looks at it and verifies that it meets the basic requirements of an ADU. But here's the real key to that. We can count the income of the rental unit even if it's not rented. Think about that. Even if it's not rented. So let's say you're buying an ADU, the seller lives in the main part, the ADU is vacant, or you're buying new construction. We can count the income, and we only count 75%. That's all lenders ever count when it comes to income property. So they only count 75%. Now, if there is a lease, we're going to go by 75% of the income of the lease. But if there is no lease to be found, or if it's rented and there's no actual lease, if it's just been month to month. I mean, I sold a rental property many, many years ago where, the tenant's been there 15 years. There was no written lease to be found anywhere. So, but that was a different story. But you get the point. There can be no written lease. So they would either have to create one or the appraiser does an analysis at 1007, 1007, they call it. That's where the appraiser does an analysis of rents in the area for similar type properties. And then they make that, they establish that number, and then we take 75% of that. So this can help people go from like a $550 to a $650 price home. Think about that. Now, those are kind of rounded numbers. Don't take me to exact on that. So, because there's variables involved in there, what the difference between the taxes, the insurance, and what's the interest rate and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of variables involved in that, but possibly go from that price to that price, which means, and they can rent it out, So, even if they never rented it out, I mean, there's no rule that said they had to actually rent it. They just count the income. So let's say you have a husband and wife, and one of them has their credit's no good, or they're self-employed, we can't use their income, and we know they have the income, but we can't count it. This is a perfect solution for something like that. So, or they just get them in there, have a tenant rent the basement, and 5, 6, 7 years from now, they're making more money and they're locked in at a lower rate as they refinance, that kind of stuff. Then they no longer need to rent it out. So they can keep the house and, open it back up and to be in a full home. When the kids are all gone, they can convert it back to rental income again. So that's it. And you can only have one rental income. You can't have, now legally you may be able to have two ADUs in a building, but we're only counting one. And it has to be owner occupied. So it can't, if it's not owner occupied, it's an illegal duplex, or that type of stuff, non-conforming duplex, whatever. So anyway, but we can count the rent. So that should open up some options for buyers. Think about that. Everybody wants to be a buyer. Everybody wants to be a landlord till they become one, right? That's the old saying. Everybody wants to be a landlord till they become one. And then, but anyway, any thoughts or questions on that? Call me, 801-999-8209. Again, Rob Aubrey here with Insider Training for WantMoreLeads.com. I hope you make it an amazing day.